Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. Just some housekeeping. So you have signed for the reflections on the positioning of the existing DIH Digital Innovation Hub networks in relation to the new Digital Year program. My name is Dimitra Perperidou, and I represent agROBOfood. Along with Mr. Fazan Baran, we will moderate the session today. Please make sure to keep your microphones muted the whole duration to avoid background noise. We are recording the session also, and it will be available afterwards in our YouTube channel. So we will share with you shortly access to Slido. And I'm giving the floor to Farzan, who is our cluster leader in France and Italy. Farzan?
Hello. Thank you, Dimitra. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the little bit of delay. Yes, my name is Farzan Baran. I work for CEA. I'm also part of agROBOfood. And I will be really glad to moderate this session. It's a pleasure for me to try to make sure we can have a rich exchange of information on some questions that probably are shared by many of us. This session, as Dimitra mentioned, is reflections on expected positioning of DIH networks in relation to the new initiatives of the European Commission, notably Digital Europe program and the others. It's the second open or public session of the agROBOfood event this week. There will be two more during the week, and all of those are quite interesting. Some of you may have participated in the one this morning that looked more globally at where robotics and robotics for agriculture and food industry are going. It was a very interesting exchange. In this one, again, the same format. There is no presentation. We have a panel of people dealing with projects with similar scope and objectives. There is one presentation that I will come to that. So from the panel members, we are still missing. No, we are full. Everyone is there for the panel. So yes, the goal of this session is really to collectively explore and exchange on what kinds of future we can envision for the concepts of digital innovation hubs and their networks as European Commission's new framework program for research and innovation takes off, and new initiatives are being launched, notably the concepts of European digital innovation hubs. And other things such as the testing and experimental facilities being proposed. The hope is to have some common threads emerging from these discussions. Then if we can make some clear conclusions at the end, that would be very, very nice. And in order to do that, the coordinator of agROBOfood, Case Lockhurst, at the end of the session will join and will make some concluding remarks based on the discussions. So Dimitra will share with us the Slido questions per category as we go through. But please let me first introduce the panel members. I will say very shortly a little bit about the affiliation of the members of the panel, and then they will say very quickly something about the projects that they are representing in this panel. So we have, in the alphabetical order of the last name, Dr. Kevin Doolan, the coordinator of the METER project. Kevin is the Director of Innovation in the Walton Institute for Information and Communication Systems Science, formerly known as TSSG in Ireland. He's the coordinator of the METER, and his organization is involved in smart agri-hubs, agROBOfood, and other national DIH-related programs. Kevin had some issues with his camera, but I don't know if now he can
Hello,
turn.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kevin. Please.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, no, I'm still fixing my camera. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Doolan. Thanks for the introduction. I'm the Director of Innovation in the Walton Institute, but I'm also the coordinator of the EU project, H2020 project, Demeter. Demeter is a 60-partner project, and we deal essentially with integration of the agri supply chain from farm to fork, particularly at a data level. We're about midway through the project at the moment, so we've done our initial requirements, architecture, and some implementation work as well. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much, Kevin. Next, we have Dr. Jesus Pablo Gonzalez, a colleague of mine from agROBOfood, who's the regional cluster leader for Iberia in agROBOfood. Jesus, please turn on your camera. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So this is Jesus speaking. I am Technology Transfer Manager of Robotics Technology at Eurecat. I am part of agROBOfood team, the host project of this event. I'm very happy to be part today of this discussion. So as you may know already, agROBOfood is one of the digital innovation hubs networks. In this case, the aim of the project is to accelerate the digitization of the agricultural sectors through the use of and the adoption of robotics technologies. It is a 38 partners project led by Wageningen. We are using as a main tool to accomplish our objectives the open calls in order to establish a strong link with the ecosystems. The project is divided in 7 regional clusters. I am leading the Iberia cluster. There are 6 more, and we have already run 2 open calls, and projects are running, and I will be happy that you can get to know more about the results that we are getting from this through our official networks. Thank you very much, Farzan.
Thank you so much, Jesus. Now we have another colleague of mine from CEA, Dr. Christophe Leroux, who is the coordinator of RIMA project, another Digital Innovation Hubs network. Christophe, if you can turn on your camera, please. Oh no, maybe sorry, I mixed up. It's up to me to read the affiliation. With my excuse, Jesus, also for you. So Christophe is a senior project manager in robotics and AI at the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission, CEA, in France. He has successfully initiated and managed numerous projects funded under the EU Framework Program, and he is a member of the board of directors of EU Robotics, ASPL. And you have met Christophe, I'm sure many of you in many different occasions. Please, Christophe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Farzan. So yes, I'm currently coordinating this project RIMA on inspection maintenance robotics. And we are investigating slowly how we can, as a network of Digital Innovation Hub, help to stimulate this uptake of technologies by industries in the specific domain of inspection and maintenance. So we are driving several initiatives in parallel to understand what are the needs and what are the concrete expectations from the industries and SMEs, especially. But yeah, a little bit far away from agriculture, agro technologies, but I think anyway, in general, there might be some common points regarding these special offer services and the expectations from industry.
Thank you, Christophe. Yes, there are common issues on the technology, but also on the program side. So the next panel member is Dr. George Maklis, who is the coordinator of ESMERA project. George is a senior project manager working for the Laboratory of Manufacturing Systems and Automation, LMS, in Greece. He has a mechanical engineering background, and he has been working for the last 15 years in the fields of industrial and collaborative robotics, robotic perception and autonomy in decision-making, human-robot collaboration, and virtual reality in manufacturing applications. George, please turn on your camera and tell us about ESMERA.
Hello, Farzan. Can you see me, I hope?
We can hear you.
Oh, I can see myself in the camera. I try to stop and start it again. Hopefully it will work.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you then, Farzam and everyone, for the invitation to be part of this very interesting event today. Thank you also for the introduction. As you said, I'm working for the Laboratory for Manufacturing Systems and Automation, which is also participating in the DIH network projects RIMA, together with CEA, and also on the Digital Innovation Hub Project Trinity on Agile production. So we have established quite a good link with these initiatives, and we are very happy to be contributing. But today I'm here with the role of the coordinator of the ESMERA project. And the ESMERA project is, let's say, the ancestor of the DIH project. It was funded just before these projects, and we had been tasked back then when the notions of DIH and competence centers were still being shaped up. We had the privilege and also the challenge to go through all the processes that are required for setting up such kind of mechanisms. And after having funded around now 30 experiments in robotics, we are tasked by the Commission also to share our experience with the DIH projects on how we can continue on how we can handle the task and the challenges that DIHs have to solve in the near future. So we're very happy to contribute also through this channel as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George. The next member of the panel, Dr. Stefan Relling, coordinator of Atlas project. Stefan is working as a researcher, project manager, and coordinator at Fraunhofer Institute for Intelligent Analysis and Information Systems, IAIS in Germany. His research interests cover the field of data analysis and visualization, sensor systems and sensor networks, as well as human-machine interactions. Stefan, please turn on your camera if possible and tell us about Atlas.
Yes, so thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks for the invitation to this event. So I'm very happy to be here today and to represent the Atlas project, a Horizon 2020 project. Acronym is for Agricultural Interoperability and Analysis System. And the title says it all. So Atlas is about interoperability in digital agriculture. So we are also a quite large project with more than 30 partners and several linked third parties from all over Europe, covering research institutions, SMEs, and agricultural machinery industry, as well as several research and commercial farms and agricultural cooperatives. And as I said, Atlas is dealing with interoperability between agricultural machines, sensors, and data services. With agricultural machines, also sensor platforms and robots are included. And what we want to achieve is to bring all these different types of assets, of actors together and make them interoperable. So interoperability, from our understanding, means to be capable to exchange data. And we want to achieve this through a set of standardized and extensible interfaces for data exchange. These are mainly services, web-based services, but also edge computing facilities. And we want to bring all this together through a kind of a decentralized architecture with only a minimum set of central components. So it is not one central platform where everything every data set is flowing through. It's a decentralized system. We have been implementing a significant part of that envisioned architecture. Currently, we are working hard on bringing all the technology out to the field to set up our pilot studies, our demonstrators, and we want to promote a kind of a developer ecosystem for innovative digital agriculture within the next 1.5 to 2 years of project duration being left. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Stefan. And we have Dr. Shaq Walford, who will tell us about Smart Agri-Hubs project. Shaq is a theme ambassador and strategic senior scientist on digital innovation in agri-food at Wageningen University and Research in the Netherlands. He is scientific coordinator of international projects such as the Internet of Food and Farm 2020 and Smart Agri-Hubs. He is affiliated with the Information Technology Group of Wageningen University and is the past president of the European Federation of ICT in Agriculture, EFITA. Shaq, please, if you turn on your camera and tell us about Smart Agri-Hubs.
Yes, thank you for inviting me in this panel. And as you were saying, I was also scientific coordinator of IOF 2020, which unfortunately just ended this year, which was, I think, a very successful project. And I think also the Commission was quite satisfied about that. And maybe most of you know about the project. We had a number of very successful use case projects all over Europe and in different sectors. And we really developed an approach, a digital innovation approach, in which we combined the technical and organizational challenges, especially also on business modeling and governance and even ethics of that. Yeah, I think in one way it was successful, but on the other hand, all these use case projects now stopped, and of course somehow they will continue. But I think the challenge is then, yeah, how can you continue this digital innovation in a more sustainable and structural way? And that's where Smart Agri-Hubs comes in which we want to do, or also to stimulate the digital transformation and digital innovation in the agri-food sector in Europe. But now, instead of having a very central coordinated project that is coordinating all these different use cases or innovation experiments, as we call it nowadays, yeah, we would like to see instead that the coordination and the support is much more done at the local regional level by digital innovation hubs. And so the focus is much more on establishing these digital innovation hubs at the local level that are able to sustain the digital innovation. Because in many cases we see that innovation stops at a certain TRL level. And I think the specific challenges, especially in this middle range of TRL levels, let's say from 5 to 8, where the public funding stops and the private funding is still far away. And that's what we focused on already in IOF 2020, but I think also for Smart Agri-Hubs, that is really our challenge. And we do that also by open calls that are targeting the DIHs. But yeah, to be honest, I think there is also still quite a challenge because most of the actors in our network that maybe are also present today are used to have this relatively easy money from a central European project and then spend it and then do a nice project. But I think it's much more challenging to see if you can sustain this innovation at the local level by having a follow-up of different types of funding instruments and to combine different type of funding instruments. And that's I think a real challenge, and I'm very curious and also eager to see. I already looked, of course, at the Digital Europe program, how this can help to manage this.
Great, thank you very much, Shaq. So yes, continuity is, I think, a central theme for this session also from many different perspectives. So these 6 projects, just a couple of key figures. These 6 projects, 5 of them Innovation Action 1, Research and Innovation Action. They bring together 266 partners from 30 European countries, and the amount of budget collectively up to 96 million euros. So it's a significant portion of investment from the European Commission and also from the member states through their research organizations and other partners. So thank you so much to the panel members. We caught up a little bit the delay, but we're still a few minutes behind schedule. I would like now to ask maybe Dimitra, should we put the first Slido for the audience to gauge what kind of organizations they come from?
Yes, I have just shared the link and the hash code that you should use. And now you can see our slide, I think. And please take some time to fill in our first question, just to get to know a little bit our audience today. So there are various options, as you can see. It's a multiple choice question, so you can choose more than one answers. We think we have included all the options, but okay. So we have the first results in, and it seems that okay, the answer that is no, it changes. You're still voting. So the organization is a partner in an ongoing DIH network, and they are another type of project, research and innovation actions or innovation actions. Okay.
And the last question, I think, can be ignored because it doesn't have a field to enter text. We were asking a question, but I don't know. It's
yeah. I think either way, the most common answer at this point is that the organization is a partner in an ongoing DIH network.
okay. Well, as people will add probably to this, I would take just another couple of minutes to introduce the colleague of mine at CEA who will make a presentation, Dr. Valentina Ivanova. She is the Deputy Director of CEA List Institute in charge of European affairs. Valentina has a background in chemical engineering and a very rich career trajectory, which started at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. She has been a senior scientist at the ULB in Belgium and the University of Ulm in Germany. At CEA, she has been a senior expert in nanotechnologies and scientific activities leader for technology transfer activities. And now she's our deputy director of the department, managing the EU affairs. And I'm really glad that she accepted this last minute invitation to come and talk to us from the perspective of a large French institution that has been in several DIH network programs, but is also a candidate for a European Digital Innovation Hubs. And yes, she is now there with us and turned on the camera. Valentina, if you are ready, please share your screen.
I have to share the screen or the presentation. Okay, I think it's okay like that. Do you see it?
It's coming up. Yes, we see it, but it's not. Yes.
Okay, so I will give the vision of the Commission. What is the Digital Innovation Hub, European Digital Innovation Hub in the frame of Digital Europe program. And I have to tell you that the Commission started with this idea in 2019, and even DigiHall, which you see the logo on the left screen side of the screen, it's DigiHall was invited during the presentation of Anne-Marie Sassin in Helsinki during the proposers days as a mature digital innovation hub. And so DigiHall is the Paris region digital innovation hub. I will very briefly present this, but I will mainly speak about what is this European Digital Innovation Hub. So in Digital Europe program, there are two ways to what the Commission sees: accelerating of the best usage of digital technologies. This as Digital Innovation Hub, and the high impact of deployments, and the main building essential digital capacities are high performance computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and advanced digital skills. So the main, this is the strategy, is the main recapitulation of the main objective is to compete globally. We mean in Europe, that we have to be very competitive, to scale through collective co-investment using even a private investment, regain control over Europe's value chain, better address the European added value, ensure broad taking of the different investment, and support SMEs as well as public authorities. So I don't know whether you are aware, but you are the specialist in this field, and it seems in Europe there is more than 400,000 jobs in the domain of digital technologies which are not occupied. So we need to implement and design the special education to have master classes with digital skills. We need also to have a global digital platform for jobs, and to train also the trainers to make advanced digital skills to promote our European excellence in education and innovation. As I showed, the European Digital Innovation Hubs are one of the initiatives in Digital Europe program, and they are in the core. They have their autonomy to make their governance, to see how they will manage this new enterprise. And there are 4 axes: test before invest, support to find investment, innovation, ecosystem, and skills, and training. And at the core of these European Digital Innovation Hubs are normally RTO, as CEA is RTO, and that's why we are positioned, we are recognized since 2017 as a Digital Innovation Hub. And normally it should be in collaboration with industry associations, with clusters, and the European Enterprise Network. So these are just, I think it's not necessary, as I saw more of than 50% are AD candidates. These are the main the topics which should be developed in these 4 axes. It's not, but the main technologies in European Digital Innovation Hubs are HPC, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. That is the Commission foresees that is 1 grant for 1 hub, and it's normally for 3 years, extendable up to 7 years. Commission says since 2019 it will be network between 100 and 200 hubs. As all of you know, the budget of the Digital Europe program was reduced with 17%. So now the actual budget was set. It is the budget about 747 million. So what the Commission was telling in the beginning, it should be 50% funding from the Commission and 50% from the member state. And it was underlined that ERDF funds could be used for this 50%. It appears a big problem at the moment. I will later speak again. Here you can see that for each country there was regarding the budget available, it's foreseen minimum and maximum hubs which could be. For example, France did well, probably for the first time, but it's well done. In France are selected 17 candidates to be ADs, which is very well positioned between 12 and 24. And the hubs can have a budget between 1 and 2 million per year, as set 50% covered by Digital Europe program. And it's encouraged to have cross-border collaboration as well. What happens? So there the Commission, together with Member States, established the rules. There was a national selections, and as I thought, all countries, they pre-selected their AD candidates. I heard that some countries like Italy, like Spain, they have 40 candidates. It's their problem, but today it appeared another problem. Since September 2019 was said the call will be published in the beginning of, at the end of last year, 2020. After that, it is postponed for the beginning of this year. It was foreseen that the hubs will start this year, but not. This year, we have in January was said it will be open in January. It's not opened in January. After that, in March, in May, we with the digital decade even, we learned that probably it will be opened in September. Let's hope. And what appeared as a problem? The problem appeared that it is not possible to use ERDF funds for this co-funding by member states, because we cannot use 2 European funds for financial support of the European digital innovation hubs. And at the moment we are at standby. Everybody, I think at the beginning we were all motivated to cover these objectives, to have this, to be in this initial network of hubs. After that should be upgraded to have to provide complete set of services and to establish this network of services. I think it's not anymore so important because the motivation should be there, but it's waiting. I even heard some colleagues as us who are leading the propositions. They are asking whether it will happen. I am naive. I still hope it will happen. So these are how the capacity building is foreseen. There are also networks. For example, we are participating in a network of artificial intelligence digital innovation hubs. There is a network around applications, for example, in manufacturing. We are also very active in manufacturing. So that's what I wanted to say. It's also foreseen that there will be digital transformation accelerator, which will be a call for procurements, and this it will be obliged to work with this all structure, different structures, and will of all hubs. What is very important that we have to have at least one hub per region. For example, Paris region, there are 3 hubs candidates, because we are a very big region and very dynamic, about 12 millions. And here I underlined in rows that ADs should collaborate with existing networks like RIMA, like agROBOfood, like Esmera, like DIH Hero, all of these existing networks. So it will be very important that we collaborate. We have to profit from what is already done in DIHs from the Call Horizon 2020. It's very briefly, as I told you, DigiHall is the Paris Region Digital Innovation Hub, who is a combined transformation of companies by practical adoption and responsible artificial intelligence. What we did in very early, we just on this slide, we put all members of our hub, we put where we are represented in the initiatives as smart anything everywhere, I4MS. So as you see, we are represented, we cover all these different digital sectors. We are coordinating, for example, Sparta Excellence Center of Cybersecurity. We are also partner of AI for EU. So I will stop here. I will not speak more. If you have some question, you can come to me. I hope I didn't exceed too much my time.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Valentina. Yes, this gives a good description of what is in the mind of many people, probably. And I have to say that, unfortunately, Valentina will leave the session to go to another meeting that deals with more or less the same issues, same concept. But just for your information, just to say that from the response of the poll that Dimitra put, so we have 59% of people are either in a DIH or CCs, but we also have 53% of people in the audience that are part of a candidate EDIH. So therefore, almost everyone is in a way in an EDIH candidate organization, which makes the discussions and reflections more interesting.
Yeah, I see also someone who was writing about TEFs. It's true if the TEFs are the other, and I think TEFs are blocked for the same reason with these ERDF funds.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Thank you so much. Another information for the audience. We had prepared a sort of a list of references, only European Union documents and websites where concepts can be referred to and information searched. So those are the links that Dimitra is putting earlier on the chat. Please feel free to copy them or now or even at the end of the session. Now, if there is any urgent question to Valentina that somebody likes to pose now, otherwise we move on to the next category. Okay, thank you, Valentina. If there are any other questions, we will bring it to your attention after. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I wish you fruitful work. Bye.
Thank you so much. Merci. Okay, the rest of the session is basically reflections, discussions, thinking together on the subject of discontinuity, this anticipation, this change that is happening, but not clearly enough, or at least we don't know clearly enough what is going to happen with all the work that people like us have been doing in different DIH networks. And I think that gives a very good motivation for the topic of this session and the panel that will discuss the issues. Can we go, Dimitra, to the next question, please? So here we say, how do we see the opportunities of your DIH-related activities beyond the EC-funded project? There are several options to choose from. Was there a question from someone? No.
No, not yet.
Okay. We go and vote.
So you can find again the link in the chat. or we can continue from the previous session.
Mhm.
So we have the first answers. At this point, it seems that the involvement and sustainability is the one, with the most votes. So
After
the
5
DIH
years.
is, yes, the DIH will continue to evolve and reach sustainability within 5 years after the end of the project.
And the next to that is, at this point, it depends on how the Commission and their policies and strategies will, that is changing.
Yes. Between
Okay.
sustainability by the end of the EU project and the needs and priorities of DEP and the EDIH.
Okay, so there may be some last minute votes or people change their votes or not, but this is the pattern we see. And now we would like to come to our panel and see their points of views, how they explain what we see, and or if they can agree or disagree to that, or give their perspectives on this question, please. So should we go with the same order of the panel? Shall we start with Kevin, coordinator of Demeter?
Hi, hello.
Hello, please.
I've got my video now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this reflects kind of what I'm seeing certainly in the Demeter project. You know, within Demeter we do a lot of work with the multi-actor approach, for example, where we try and bring in different stakeholders, and that's essentially what, as far as I see it, what digital innovation hubs are trying to do. And so certainly from my perspective, we're still building up the network of stakeholders to be involved. And that's why I think I actually answered the first question the same as the majority of people there, that we'll still evolve and reach sustainability after the project. I don't think the project lifetime is long enough to kind of solidify the relationships that we're trying to build within the project and within my own organization as well.
So do you think the inputs from the Commission will not have that much of an impact on the course of the way this momentum has been creating and will continue? Or
I wouldn't say the input from the Commission is not having an impact. I mean, of course it is. I just think these things take a little bit longer time, you know. And certainly when you look at the delays that have been happening with the European digital innovation hubs as well, I mean, it's just, there's a slight knock-on effect in terms of when these things can reach sustainability. We're part of one of the selected EDIH candidates from Ireland as well, and you know, we're ready to go with getting our proposal done. But again, we have to wait for the calls to launch. So this has a knock-on effect on all activities as well. But I'll also say, without the support of the Commission, obviously none of this stuff would be happening really in the first place, you know.
Okay, right. Anything else? We move on, or you're okay? Okay for now. So yes, Jesus, please.
Yes.
Take it over.
So, yeah, I think it is a very encouraging answer that we are having in our Slido, in the sense that people really believe that in a period of time after the project ends, so we will somehow manage to reach this sustainability, which is good. I'm also for that option. It may be too optimistic to think that at the end of the project we can reach this sustainability, as Kevin was saying now. I think this need to take a bit longer, especially because, I mean, we have a very big challenge in front of us. There are a number of similar projects funded with the same objective, both tackling maybe a vertical sector or a technological field. Now we need to put some kind of order, I guess, here, and maybe the first attempt to do this and to pull the rope and maybe come together, all or some of these projects is this call that Valentina was presenting now, the EDI call. So the challenge then here is to maybe build upon the discussions we are already having within our projects and not to start from scratch the same discussions. So there, I think there is a challenge to get all this knowledge and lessons learned from the running projects into a next level or a next phase to really make something new and yeah, following up on the exercise, right, of getting this pan-European network a reality.
Okay, Jesus, thank you so much. Christophe, so before you start, when we put these questions together, I think the idea was that this continuation or sustainability of the networks on their own. So maybe there is a little bit of dependency which has not been explicitly mentioned. But please, Christophe, share with us your views and reflections on the question.
Yes, thank you, Fazam. Yeah, interesting results from on that poll. Indeed, in RIMA, we're in the middle, really in the full discussion about this sustainability issue, and we've made a split between the sustainability of the network and the sustainability of the DIH. And since in RIMA, the network is based on DIHs which are relying on universities and research organization. The part of it which is related to DIH, the service activity which is related to the DIHs, is already, I would say, sustainable for each of the 13 organizations being part of the network. Now, the question is more about the sustainability of the network itself. Fortunately, I think we have one chance in RIMA that we are relying on one organization, robotics organization, Sprint Robotics, which is already existing and which is also supposed to take up the results of RIMA. So the sustainability is almost there. I'd say the business model is quite well advanced, and it maybe not be illustrative of what is the question in the other network of DIHs, but I'd say there is some good expectations to reach the sustainability of RIMA network, and by the end of this by the end of the project, actually.
Already, okay. So
yeah, the question is more about what services are the organizations, the SMEs, in particular the industries, are expecting from us, actually. And this is what we're experiencing with the organization of the mentoring of experimentation that we selected in the open course. So we already have some good indications on what people are expecting from the network.
Great, thank you so much, Christophe. George, please tell us.
Yeah, I think Christophe has pretty much covered also my opinion with respect to what happens with the DIH network. So this group of digital innovation hubs that have to work together as an organization. I think it was very well stated. So from my point of view, I would like to focus mainly on the hubs themselves. And also, I think the key word that you have in this questionnaire is that continue to evolve. Because the digital innovation hub as a term and as an entity and as a functionality it's something that is still being shaped up. A lot of the organizations that are now acting as a digital innovation hub, they had to learn how to do so. And they had to learn most of it, let's say, on their own way. They had to find their routing throughout all these areas of European research and the European industry. So we have a lot of aspects that we are still gaining knowledge on. So because the hubs are also acting on a local level, and we see it, for example, here in Greece with the local SMEs and our efforts to bring them in the loop and try to interact and work with them. So this is a new area that we both have to train ourselves how to do it efficiently, and also to persuade also the businesses to undertake such kind of activities. And of course, it also continues even in the pan-European network, because there we also need to understand the different types of services that we are now offering that we did not offer before. So we're talking not only about pure research support, we're talking about consulting, about business mentoring. So all these things, I think, will take some more time before they can be put into regular everyday business of each innovation hub. And I think as soon as we are able to achieve this, this is when we will be able to talk about sustainable digital innovation hubs themselves. So I'm not saying that we are there yet, but I think we are getting there, and there is quite a steep progress based on what has been done in this project in the last at least 5 years, I would say. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This is very clear and very useful. Thank you. Stefan, can you please give us your perspectives?
Yes. So, I mean, it's good to see that no one voted for the option that the projects will just disappear, which is good news. But however, I mean, I also did that with the Atlas head on. I voted for the option for the majority of participants voted for. So, which says we cannot address this within the project within the given time, and we need some more time and probably more funding to achieve that sustainability. And I mean, this is that maybe has something to do with the way you apply for such projects. So you have the proposal is clearly structured. You have to write down what you want to do, how you want to do it, how you want to implement it, and you have then this impact section in your proposal where you write down what is coming out and how you to measure it. But that part, how you really want to make it sustainable, that's usually a really, really small amount of the whole proposal. And from my experience, people tend to write something generic there without thinking about how you really want to do it. And I mean, if we are honest to ourselves, everyone knows these projects which disappear after the funding is over, and they produce nice reports, and that's it. So the question is how to change this. And from my opinion, I do not have any experience with this, so I never made it to that point that such a project is then sustainable after the funding is over. But I think it is important that you start quite early in the project thinking about it, which means if you do it maybe less than a year before the project ends, then you start to fund an association or these kind of things. I'm not sure if that will lead to a success, and you need to really put a significant effort into it to really define business plans, to identify the components which could bring out value for other companies, other people from your project. Because in the end, sustainability means you have to run some operational structures which have to be paid. So you need to create something which adds a value to someone and makes someone to be willing to pay for the things you're developing. And this is really a difficult task to solve within 3 years of project work or 4 years, where you have to really deal with implementing things, making things work, coming together. That also takes a significant part of the project time to really get a knowledge about the problem beyond the state of what you wrote in the proposal. So I think that Paul really shows that issue we have, your potential issue we might have with these research projects, that there is not enough emphasis put on that aspect of sustainability, of making things work after the project. And maybe in the future, the funders, in our case, the European Commission, have to think about what they really expect from applicants for funding. That is my opinion here.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. So in other words, in the absence of clear funding from the Commission or a clear mandate either from the member states or from the Commission, it's difficult to imagine on what basis the continuation will happen. Okay, Shaq, would you like to finish off this round, please?
Yeah, so what can I add? I would also like to emphasize to look at sustainability at these two levels, which are on the one hand different, because as I stressed in my introduction, the digital innovation hubs have to be sustainable, I think, more at the local and a regional level. And for that, I think they have to become actually less dependent from European money and more depending on, yeah, let's say, local financial resources, which can come still from public funding, but I think it's also good, yeah, that they connect with private investors. And I know, and we know probably all, that there's a lot of fuss going on around startups and that kind of thing, so that's okay. But once again, I would like to highlight that yeah, they are usually working at these very high TRL levels where there is already a product that is market ready. But I think the private investors should also have more yeah, engagement to the somewhat lower TRL levels and see if they can yeah, create synergy also with public funding instruments. So that is, I think, yeah, something very important for the sustainability of the digital innovation hubs at the local level. At the of course, the network level is also very important because that's an important strength of our projects, I think, that we create a network so that we can use the state-of-the-art knowledge and we can share that and we can support that, and also that the hubs and the competence centers that are involved can learn from each other and don't reinvent the wheel all the time. And I think there at that level, yeah, the European Commission can play a role and have more central European money involved. And in that sense, we are already looking at the European Digital Innovation Hubs, so the EDIs, as I learned to pronounce them. And actually, we are talking with the Dutch EDI, but also from Belgium, to see if they want to take, yeah, some parts of Smart Agri Hubs, for example, our innovation portal, yeah, to take it to the next level in the Digital Europe program, which then will greatly enhance, of course, also the sustainability of the network. And so then, yeah, we're coming back to the central theme of this panel, I think, that Digital Europe can really help to create more sustainability.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone. So Dimitra put 3 questions from Eric, another colleague in agROBOfood. Do we need to integrate DIH networks more than we do now to reach sustainability? Do we end up with less? We should avoid delivering commercial services. We should not compete with consultants. EDIH are funded partly by the regional resources. Should the domain-specific network not funded in the same way? Any of the panel members would like to comment very briefly on these? If someone has a clear thinking or reaction. Each of those we can talk about them for a long time, I think. Thank you, Eric, for these food for thoughts. we have several other categories, and let's move on to the next one. Dimitra, please. And we try to be a little bit faster on the next round. So this one is what
So
opportunities? Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead,
So
please.
the question is, based on your experience with the DIHs and your understanding of the TEF and the EDIHs, what opportunities do you foresee for the individual DIHs and their networks? And again, there are multiple answers available. So you can start voting using the same session and the same number. I will provide it again in our chat. So again, the question is, based on your experience with the digital innovation hubs and your understanding of the DEP, TEF, and EDIHs, what opportunities do you foresee for the individual DIHs and their networks? And we see that the first answer came in. So we have to increase common understanding of the issues, priorities, opportunities, and challenges, create synergies, identity, complementarity, alignment of organizational sectorial strategies and priorities through cross-fertilization.
If I may just add the two keywords there in the questions, structural collaboration and incidental collaborations. These are the keywords that are in the documents and presentations of EDIHs, where they refer to structured collaboration, corridors, and similar concepts.
I think that we have some answers, so we can...
Yes, thank you, Dimitra. Maybe we start already as other responses may come. And as Dimitra suggested very justly, maybe we change the order of the panel. Shaq, would you be kind enough to start this time and give your thinking and reflections on this?
Yeah, I must say I had to read it several times because it's a complex question, but also the answers. So yeah, I had a feeling that somehow I could check them all, and then of course I try to identify the most important ones. Yeah, I hope, of course, that through things like Digital Europe and the EDIs that will be established, that there will be especially this network effect, that the strength of the network that is being created can be used by the digital innovation hubs for their advantage. But yeah, how that exactly will work, yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Yes, it's interesting that, yeah, majority are still, yeah, that's actually very interesting for me also. It's very down to earth and concrete, actually, really. So the theories about collaboration and all the tools aside, this is what remains on the ground. So after Stefan, would you like to continue, please?
Yes, sure. Yeah, I agree. It's interesting result because it shows really where the main problem is. The main problem is that we still somehow have difficulties to understand the problems other participants, other people have, and this is, I think, it's a key ability to really understand where is the problem. What is hindering some kind of progress, some kind of innovation? what does not work, does not work well. So it's understanding the issues, the challenges. I mean, it's might sound negative if you always talk about the issues, but in the end, this is what drives innovation. You see something is not working really good, something going wrong, and then you think about how to improve this situation. And I think that is really needed much more, because the world is getting more and more complex, and in our special field here in digital technology, it is quite hard and takes a long time and expertise to understand the problems people have, because usually the problems are not easy, and usually the solutions aren't also not easy to understand. And so this is important, and the poll reflects this quite good, I think.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, one cannot be only optimistic and forget about the facts if you want to solve problems and move forward. So George, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So from my side also, I think we need to stress the fact that most of us here today are already involved in the DIH game, and I think the same happens for a very small group of entities and organizations. I think you mentioned earlier that in total in the DIH projects there are about 250 organizations that are being involved. So I think that this number is not necessarily big if we consider the entirety of the European Union. So we have this number of participants that are well aware of what it means to work inside the DIH network. They are now starting to learn how they can benefit from it, but this can still be considered, I think, a small group. So we still need to understand not only what happens around our networks that are already in the game, we need to understand how far we can extend to reach to other domains, other sectors, to visualize challenges that we did not know are there, because this is still one of our missions, and we have to create a model that is more open for everyone that is operating inside Europe in all the sectors. Either it is agriculture or either it is manufacturing, it doesn't really matter. So I think that for that part, we still need to work a lot to understand, as the highest rated answer mentions, to understand the issues, the priorities, and the opportunities. And I think this is correctly shown as the highest rated, because through this one is where the future collaborations are going to take place, and we will be able to understand exactly where we need to focus and where we need to make alliances and projects in order to have a bigger impact. So in my opinion, I agree with this categorization, but I think we need to interpret it in the correct way of being more open to new challenges.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Christophe, please share with us your thoughts.
Yes, it's an interesting poll concerning RIMA. One of our main interests I see is a better understanding of each DIH's capacity, with respective capacity, a common understanding of the problems related to inspection, maintenance of infrastructures, and also an ambition to, through this common understanding and consensus on the issues that can be raised about the deployment of robotics in inspection and maintenance of infrastructure. Also the the attractiveness of other organizations. That is one of our main goal right now. So we in a way we stay very modest in our ambition, but it's the common basis of understanding and the creation of new opportunities through this common understanding that can can be something important for us right now. So it's quite related to the results of the poll and the questions, the answers that come on the top also. But I must say that all of them are quite meaningful for us in RIMA.
Okay, thank you, Christophe. Jesus, would you like to take it?
Yes, sure. So I think these efforts should lead us to some new type of collaboration. So I'm more for the second answer, in the sense that for any kind of incremental change, this should always also be now in our strategies. So I don't think we need such an effort to do this. So we should really aim at having something new. In this case, this idea of having corridors of cooperations that is mentioned in the answer, I think it's a very good idea. So at the end, this ideal vision of having a pan-European network of DIH working together, it's good as a goal, but on the way, maybe we need to, step by step build this network by probably selecting institutions with whom twin or strengthen the collaboration, and then create these kind of corridors. So in the past, there were these kind of thematic networks, mainly focused on excellence research. Now we could do something similar, but based on business-oriented effort, or so it is interesting, and at the end there is a set of projects funded that have in common maybe agriculture, now that we are talking about agri-food and others. So it could make sense to join together and create this corridor of cooperations for this field. Then also the first answer, if I may take a bit more time, also shows us that there is still a lot of lack of understanding of what's happening, right? And all the things happening at the same time in parallel. So this has been there for years, but there has been a lot of efforts in explaining things more clear and better. So we still need to do this to the society, to our ecosystems. But such an effort should really be there to create new collaborations, in my view.
Thank you very much. Kevin, please. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I'm actually a little bit confused by the results of this poll, I have to say, because maybe I'm misreading it, but it feels a little bit like the people that responded think that the digital innovation hubs and European digital innovation hubs is just going to be business as usual. In other words, slowly building on, identifying issues and challenges and so on, whereas they're meant to be a lot more than that. And I'm also wondering why the idea of incidental collaborations is actually scored quite low as well. Because at least in my mind, if digital innovation hubs are operating efficiently, then I would think that more incidental collaborations will happen and the networks will grow more organically. Now, maybe it could be just I'm misinterpreting the results of the poll there, but that's what it comes across to me. And it reflects the thoughts of just the previous speaker there, that maybe we're not fully or correctly communicating the goals of the digital innovation hubs and European digital innovation hubs and the differences and similarities and expected outcomes of them. It just seems like an unusual result on the poll there. I don't know what others think.
If I may, I agree with you. The idea here was one is grassroots or organically growing a network, one relying on the Commission tools and financing. And the first one, yes, because there is a lot of uncertainties actually in the transition period. We were about to understand what DIH concept per se was, and now there is a new concept, and there's the transition between the two and all the uncertainties that go with it. So the first option was more on that aspect, And the second one was a sort of a top-down collaborative agenda. And the third one was a more organic or grassroots type of increasing of the collaborations. But maybe we didn't word it very effectively here. But well, thank you so much for that. We are 1 minute ahead of schedule for the category of questions. Anyone else would like to say something on this question before we move on? And yes, here Dimitra posted a question from our audience. I let the colleagues on the panel, if anyone would like to intervene, please take the floor.
Yeah, so this is Jesus speaking. So as I understand the question or the comment from Eric with respect to not compete with consultants, my personal view or understanding of this is that the network, I mean, our networks, for instance, agROBOfood, should not just be based on consultancy services, right? So the seat of everything is that we have a technical capabilities. We have some resources, knowledge, infrastructure, equipment that companies will probably not have. They do not have this. So we should put this to the, to the service of the community, to the ecosystem, to create value, to accelerate the innovation projects. So at the end, even if we can still perform some consultancy services, so the root of everything should be based on our technical knowledge and facilities. And then this is why at the end, I understand that the seat of a digital innovation hub it's a competence center, which is mainly offering technical services. And then it is complemented through other non-technical services and the contact and the link with the ecosystem, the policymaker, end user communities, industrial associations to make the digital innovation hub a reality, but the core of everything is to provide some technical services. This is my understanding of this.
Okay, thank you. So yes, Eric, who is we when you say DIH? Should the domain specific, do we need to integrate DIH network more than we do now to reach sustainability? Would you like to take the mic? No.
Yes, I can do that.
Good, thank you.
I'm not in the panel, but
please.
No, it's correct. Also, what Shaq is saying. So we are the digital innovation hubs, and I'm a little bit afraid that when we are doing just, and I fully agree with Pablo is saying. So I think most of the things are saying. So as competence centers, we have specific technologies and services. But in the role as digital innovation, we should be careful in trying to sell commercial services to be sustainable at the end, because what's really key is that we have indeed matchmaking capabilities, we have networks, and that should be our primary digital innovation hub network role, and we should make most of the effort there. That was the only comment. And sometimes I see that we are developing a lot of services, which is good when we are running the project at the moment, to get projects done from idea to a project start. But we must be careful that we are not interacting too much with the commercial consultants who are also doing these kind of tasks. That was mainly my background.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we looked at the opportunities together. Now there's the challenges. And if Dimitra would kindly give us the question, please take a minute and vote on the challenges ahead.
So again, the question is available. You can now vote. And the question is, based on your experience with the networks, how would you rate the various possible impediments to the sustainability and expected outcomes and impact of the Digital Innovation Hub network suggested below? So the question is a ranking question, just rank from the highest to the lowest. The link is the same, so we're continuing from the previous.
We mean
question.
highest impediment. Which one is a harder showstopper? Yeah.
So we have the first answer. Funding, and then commitment, organizational, still changing, but funding seems to be the first one. Okay, the competitive landscape. Yes, the landscape and funding seem to be the top ones, let's say. We have the landscape, funding, commitment, organizational, social, and skills. Skills seems to be the last one. I think we have the first votes. So for them, it seems that the front-ended landscape is the first one, funding is the second, commitment is the third, the fourth is organizational insertion, the fifth is skills.
Okay, very, very interesting, very promising kind of reflection. At least funding is not the main showstopper. That's really nice to see. So should we turn again the direction? And if Kevin, would you like to comment on this, please?
Yeah, sure. I would tend to agree with the results. The fragmented landscape is an interesting one, I suppose, and particularly when we look at the European digital innovation hubs. From what I can make out, it seems there's different processes in different countries in terms of how you select who gets put forward as European digital innovation hubs. I know, for example, in Ireland, we went through quite a rigorous national competitive process for selection, where maybe anecdotally I've heard in other countries, entities can nominate themselves. So it seems a bit differently managed in different places, but also just the point here about the incompatibility of practices and understandings of the mandate and missions. Again, that can kind of tie into the comment I made previously about, and maybe again, I'm not trying to speak on behalf of the respondents, but again, that it feels a little bit like people still don't fully understand the purpose and expected outcomes from these digital innovation hubs. And I think that's a bit of an issue, because certainly if you want the networks to grow and become useful, there needs to be a common kind of European understanding that everybody really buys into for these things to succeed. A lot of these things will succeed anyway, because there's good, strong networks between industry, academia, and state, and so on. But for them to succeed as designated digital innovation hubs, there needs to be some sort of a common framework around the whole thing. Funding is an obvious one. Everybody always wants more funding to push things on, and of course it's going to help drive these things further. Particularly that if you can fund dedicated staff to run these digital innovation hubs, it makes a huge difference compared to digital innovation hubs where people are doing it, let's say partially based on funding within a project, for example. But if you've dedicated people in there driving these forward, that can make a huge difference.
Okay, thank you so much. Jesus, please. Jesus, can you
Yes,
hear us?
yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I do agree with this order. It's complicated to at the end. I guess it's complicated to translate this mindset at the same level with the same understanding to all regions. So these require some time. I guess a lot of efforts are now put on these directions. So from the European Commission to transmit the right messages to the national and regional government and policymakers, because at the end, this is a shared effort. So there is some funding coming from Europe, but it is also requested that regions invest on this. And this is a long-term strategy. So this is a huge effort that requires the commitment and the right understanding of everything. So I do agree with this first showstopper being ranked in this position. And then, of course, at the same time, funding, it's important. So this, as I was saying, this is a shared effort, and then regions need to allocate here also some budget to establish the structural, the structures to put this in place. And probably there we need to share some best practices between regions, from the north to south and east and west. So there is this idea of, or there was this idea in the catalog of identifying yourself as a digital innovation hub, but you should state your stage of development, whether you are operational already or just being created. So probably there is also an interesting collaboration between different regions where this common effort should lead us, right? So to have the commitment and the structure from other regions to be this a reality. And then the rest, I think 4 and 5 should probably be easily solvable. Organizations at the end can be changed and should probably be changed in many regions, and skills can just be acquired. And probably one of the enrichment that we can get from the network is this skills sharing between regions, right? So
yeah. Okay, great. Well, yes, thank you so much, Christophe. So do you see it in the same way that in the absence of funding, if the fragmentation is correct, if the practices are understood in the same way and mandate and mission, then we can move forward?
Yeah, well, if I take the practice in RIMA, I'd say if I take the answers in the reverse way, the skills we do have networks, the digital innovation hubs involved in the network have some background definitely in robotics and inspection and maintenance applications, 4 years, 10th of years or more. Now coming up to the top, I would say I would have put number 1 as a funding opportunity, because taking the example of the last open call we organized in RIMA, we got 150 applications selected and eligible, and we selected out of them. We selected on only 30, and yeah, that's a problem for those which we didn't select. So all of them were not of the applicants were not very good, but at least I see that there are many of them which could not get the funding, and for which there were some strong discussion within the between the experts. And which would have also been worth to investigate for innovation, for new perspectives for applications of robotics for inspection maintenance in different domains. So definitely what we were missing there and what was the limiting factor was the funding capacity to support these applications for us. That was really the main point for us.
Okay, thank you. George, was this more or less surprising or not surprising to you? How do you see it?
No, I think at least for the top of this list, I am quite confident that this reflects a reality. But I'm going to take a leap here also, try to comment a bit on the lower side of this list. Because, for example, we have number 4 that talks about the organizational inertia of the DIH. And okay, although I understand that it's up to the flexibility of each organization to try and overcome these issues, we should not forget that all the DIHs did not magically appear and started working as a single entity. They all have a very different, possibly very long background. They have their own business models. They have their own internal structures. So efficiency, I think, can be impacted. And then it also comes as a direct, if we look up in the list about the understanding of the mission of the DIH and the different interpretations, this further adds this organizational inertia. So I think it's very good that this was also placed in the list, because if we hope that in the future this DIH will be able to operate very efficiently with lowest overheads and so on, I think there is still a need there to document good practices and practices that are actually applicable. Because it's one thing to create a network, apply, let's say, establish some rules of operation, and then nobody follows it because it's out of their scope of operation. And another thing whether the whole network can be committed to this mode of operation, and then it can continue to grow from there. And I think this has to overcome a lot of barriers: financial, organizational, even linguistic and cultural boundaries. So I think this also has to be considered quite a lot when planning the next steps for the future of the DIH.
Great. Yes, thank you so much. This actually, one can say that this issue of organizational inertia is, in a way, because it's varied from country to country, organization to organization. Some are very agile and adapt and adopt. Some others continue on their own business, corporate as usual, with some funding on the side for these projects. So this may be also a kind of a fragmented landscape anyway. But thank you. That's a very nice perspective. Stefan, please. Give us some thoughts.
Yes, so I mean, actually, I was a little bit surprised, honestly, that that the fragmented landscape is now on first place as the main problem. Because I mean, to me, that sounds like something which could be solved if you want to. I don't say it could be easily solved, but there is. Probably that sounds like there might be solutions for that. But I mean, I agree that funding is an important part of this process in making a DIH network sustainable. You need money, you need funding for that, and of course, funding is always welcome if it's public funding. But if you have to fund it for yourself, then you need something. Which is here rated more in the middle field. You need a commitment. There I see still an issue. I mean, if you are committed to commit to such a digital innovation hub, if you want it to be sustainable and you have to fund it, you have to have an advantage of it. So it needs to make economical sense, and then there come a lot of other things into play. There come strategies, company strategies, political things, agendas which have been set for years. They come into play here. So I see that aspect of commitment, and also the organizational inertia resulting of these different stakeholders involved. Everyone has a more or less own agenda, sometimes a hidden agenda. So this is, I see the problems more in this part. So it's commitment and organizational inertia. And when it goes beyond public funding, then I see the issue more here and not in the fragmented landscape. And I agree, but with that result of the poll, that the competences getting people with the appropriate knowledge involved. I don't think this is an issue, because we have lots of really good educated experts available in this, at least in this European context.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Stefan. I lost my papers. And Shaq, please give us some concluding remarks on this question, your reflections.
Yeah, I think I would like to focus a little bit on 2 and 3, but also saying that most of these statements here are somehow related to each other and depending also on each other. So, as I said in my introduction, we had quite some nice use case projects that were quite successful in iOS 2020. And then I said in Smart Agri Hub, we want to do it in a different way. And with the open call, we actually had quite a challenge, because there we said, okay, you can have you can get money for a new innovation experiment, but that basically goes to the digital innovation hubs to organize it, and you should complement it with other funds. And then it appeared that it was much more challenging for the usual suspects, so to say. But yeah, if we really want to change the ecosystem, that we have more sustainable digital innovation hubs that are organizing the innovation at a regional level, we have to break through this barrier, I think. And well, so in the beginning of the open call of Smart Agri Hubs, we had quite a challenge, but I think we are progressing now. But I think it's still a challenge also for the longer term, to really establish these digital innovation hubs in a very structural and a sustainable way that we were discussing previously.
All right, thank you. So in the next part, we will have one more question, or that's open to the audience only, to see if there are any questions from the audience that we would like to put to the panel. So there is no new question, but should we open the floor and see if anyone in the audience would like to pose a question to the panel or add to the things that have been said already? Please feel free to intervene. It's an exchange platform, and these are complicated issues, but the idea has been to come together and talk about them.
Yeah, I would actually still like to elaborate a little bit on the question of Eric about the integrating of the DIH network. So take agROBOfood. It's, I think, an interesting example that you're working on 2 domains. On the one hand, the application domain of agri-food, but you can also distinguish the domain of robotics. And robotics can also be applied to many other domains or sectors, whatever you call it. So on the one hand, I agree that we should look for integration, but on the other hand, then if you don't have specific entrances to this network from a more sector or domain specific perspective, I think that's also not a good thing. So maybe we can have some discussion about that.
Anyone else would like to react? On the chat.
Well, if I can respond. So the main question is, I agree with Shaq. So how the more specific you are, the more unique you are. So the more people know each other throughout Euro because they share a specific need or demand. But on the other hand, we are doing a lot of things which are very similar to other DIH networks. So from yeah, from infrastructure point of view, it would be better to align more and better. And then you also have the regional entrance, which is also very important, that people have a low step regional regional entrance to also interact with your network. So somehow these networks should be connected to each other, but we also need to take care about the unique situation. So that's really challenging. And yeah, to be honest, for me, it's not always clear what the difference is between Demeter and Atlas and Esmera. We also tend to do more or less the same. So a very clear view on how we select our niche would be very good, and then probably we can also do some further integrations. But now we must avoid that we are working next to each other and not with each other.
Great. So in a way, great things have happened throughout all these projects. It has been a sort of a playground for people to come together and applying more or less the same notions to different sectors. And it seems to me, listening to all of you, that as a minimum, this labeling, this branding of these networks could have some great value on its own right for the continuation, depending, of course, or to some extent or not, how much funding the Commission will bring and what will be the shape of the EDIHs, and where are the other networks that are happening now going to be positioned with respect to that. So I think I can at least see that for myself, but maybe that is a bit naive. Although I think it is, I'm in two projects, I'm in RIMA and in agROBOfood, and I think despite the uncertainties, despite all these questions, I think the collaborative aspect and exchanges and the commitment that to various degrees people have, I think it's a force to reckon with and to rely on for continuation. But anyone else would like to say something on these topics before we hand over to Kees to wrap up the session?
Yeah, maybe one brief thing I would like to add that, of course, it would be very good to continue this kind of events where we are together with similar projects. And it's, of course, a pity that right at the beginning of the COVID crisis, our conference that was initiated by Smart Agri Hubs, but we invited all the others that are basically present over here to come. So I hope, of course, that this is in the future possible again, because I think that's very powerful if we can have meetings with each other where we can really exchange ideas from the different projects beyond the scientific conferences that are also going on.
Yes, thank you, Shaq. Thank you very much for saying that. If I may take just one more minute, I was thinking that many of these discussions, as we were preparing this, many of these discussions are actually discussions over a beer or having a meal together in different events. And in many other venues that I participated, there is a lot of theory, a lot of yes, a lot of theory, a lot of ideas, but not enough really down-to-earth, sincere exchange of real issues and concerns and looking at the future together. So I'm really grateful to all of you for your time and for your interventions. Now, I would like to hand over to Kees, Dr. Kees Lockhurst, who is a senior scientist in Wageningen University and research. He has 35 years of experience in precision livestock and smart farming, and he is the coordinator of agROBOfood. And if he is kind enough to join, I guess he's there, and to wrap up the session with some concluding remarks as he saw and heard the exchanges. Kees, please.
Yeah, thank you, Fazam, for giving me the floor. Also, thanks to Fazam and Dimitar for organizing this session, and of course, the contribution of the panelists are really appreciated. And I would like to start indeed with what Shaq was mentioning. it's always good to have this type of discussions amongst different projects, and with the goal to learn from each other. And although you can say, okay, we are all in the same phase, and then we have to think of how to survive and to end and to come with impactful results of your project. We are all dealing with it, and we all work hard, do our best, but nevertheless, it's also good to have a look at other experiences, and that's what I saw also happening during this meeting. Because one way or the other, most of us are working on a concept that the EU is also stimulating, and that is the concept of digital innovation hubs, and with all kinds of characters and developments. But an important insight is that a lot of us are still struggling as an organization or being a digital innovation hub to find out, am I really a digital innovation hub, and what is my role, and how should I position myself in that complex and dynamic environment. And that complex and dynamic environment appeared in some of the discussions, some of the questions. And of course, it is easy to say that also the agri-food sector is in itself already fragmented and diverse, and we have within Europe so many different situations. That is something the concept of digital innovation hubs tries to provide, and it's good to see that digital innovation hub should be that one-stop shop, very nearby, so that services and people and knowledge is in the neighborhood to find. So these digital innovation hubs, of course, they have to develop to become more mature and to find their places. And what I mentioned, I think it was in the opening meeting in Thessaloniki, I mentioned to the project partners of the agROBOfood, and especially to the ones that identify themselves as being a digital innovation hub and or competence center, use this project also to experiment and to find out how good you are as a digital innovation hub, and use the project to learn, to improve yourself, because in the end, it's up to you how you will continue. And that was also visible in the answer. Don't expect that at the end of a project, with a duration of 4 years, you have reached a maturity stage that you can say, okay, now I have a brand and a proof that I'm a digital innovation hub and I can swim. Definitely, the answers show that that is not the case. Then I would like to say to people still staying on the backside, don't hesitate to step into the arena. It might be scary, but step in, join, and learn, and also learn from each other what it will be and what it is to act as a digital innovation hub. So that was what I saw on the last two questions. Also that local approach, it's coming back also in our project where we have 7 regional cluster leaders, and the regional cluster leaders are asked also try to set up and to identify in each EU country what will be the ideal situation to set up that network of digital innovation hubs. And that was supported by the Smart Agri Hub. Shaq mentioned it also, that instead of bringing it all together and under one umbrella, let's try to also to react on that local specific situation. That brings me to, of course, the expectation that maturity needs more than a project lifetime. We are all more or less projects, so that is a big issue, and that these types of processes needs much longer than an individual project. We are aware of it. I heard that also the other projects are aware of it, and that it's good to distinguish indeed between the professionalization and the maturity of individual digital innovation hubs, but that they definitely benefit from being part of a bigger network. And that bigger network, either whether it will be on dedicated on robotics, dedicated on agro-food, or dedicated on manufacturing, or on digitalization. So that are all choices to make. In the end, it should be clear that argumented choices should be made. Okay, what type of ecosystems are able to continue to bring value to these individual innovation hubs? And what will survive? We have to see. What we can experiment is that we can provide the proper discussions, so that the proper choices will be made. And that is what we are doing, what the other projects are also doing. And there is no single answer. And there will be no single answer. But in the end, it should be that these networks or ecosystems will continue and also will become sustainable. But a critical element of these ecosystems will be that they have the capability of being a professional organization or a professional network to invest in it. But having their focus, one of the key elements will be that they also have the ability to be flexible and cooperative, because if you have a focus, for instance, on agricultural robotics, then definitely we should connect to networks that are working on digitalization, or networks that are working on other types of questions. So this discussion, this workshop shows that everybody is struggling or dealing with it, and that's, I think, the value of this discussion, that it's good that you hear that also others are dealing with it, and that it's good that you have these type of discussion. So hope that in the coming year, or maybe next year, definitely there will be events where we will have a follow-up on this type of discussion. And with that, I would like to end at least my observation so far.
Great. Thank you so much, Kees. Thank you very much. I say just 2 words, and then Dimitra will finish the session. We'll wrap up. So for me, this was a great opportunity, and I hope there will be other opportunities where we can have these kinds of exchanges. But why not having common events where the FSTP projects from different sectors would come together? After all, technologically speaking, they share very similar challenges, be it mechatronics, be it vision, AI. So why not having big forum where they can come together and exchange and create new collaborative proposals to the European Innovation Council, for which we will have 2 very interesting presentations for their new instruments. I believe that's on Thursday. With that, I thank you so much, and hand over to Dimitra to finish off if there is any last things to say. I don't know, Dimitra, if you will send, for example, anything with the links.
The links and everything will be actually the video with the whole panel will be available in our YouTube channel in a couple of days. So stay tuned and follow us so that you can have access to that. And if there is anything further, of course, anyone can send us an email and just ask us for anything that they need. So thank you very much to our panelists. Their input has been very nice to hear today, and we will make another date, as we said, to keep our discussion. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye.